Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone watching this second episode of our Tech Visionary interviews. These talks are designed for decision makers, managers, directors to understand how technology can help their business. We won't talk about like the deep technical aspects of a technology. We'll talk about it in a high level, but good enough so that you can make an informed decision about how to use technology in your business. I'm Reza Rad, and today I'm with Esteban Garcia, or DevOps expert and Microsoft Regional Director all the way from Orlando, Florida. Hi, Esteban.
Hi, Reza. How are you? Thanks for having me here.
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Can you introduce yourself a little bit before we jump into the topic?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Esteban Garcia. Like you mentioned, I live in Orlando, Florida. I've been in the technology field for over 20 years. I came up I started as a software developer, went into software architecture. I currently I'm the senior vice president for Azure and DevOps for a company called New Signature. We joined an acquisition. Before that, I owned my own Azure and DevOps consulting company here. I've been a Microsoft MVP for about 8 years. I'm a DevOps MVP, and I've been a Microsoft Regional Director for 2 years.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for introduction again, and thank you again for joining us. So talking about DevOps, which is the main topic of this talk, let's start with like what it is, because many people still heard about the word but don't know what it is. Like, can you explain that briefly?
Yeah, I hear that question often. A lot of people have a lot of different meanings for DevOps. Some people just think that it's someone's job title. They're the DevOps person, so we must be doing DevOps. Some people think that it's Dev and Ops getting together once in a while to have lunch together, so we're doing DevOps. Some people think it's just all about automation, all about the tools. Like you get any company coming in and say, we're going to sell you DevOps, and there you are. Really, DevOps is a set of practices and behaviors that enables companies to go faster, enables companies to deliver value to your customers faster, rather than thinking about this long 6, 9, 10 months, 12 months before anyone sees anything in production. DevOps is a set of it's a mindset, a set of processes, tools that brings people together to get an alignment to be able to deliver value to your customers. The way Microsoft defines DevOps is they said DevOps is the union of people, process, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to end users. The way I tell my customers or anyone about DevOps is really shortening the cycle time from idea to production. Everything that enables us to do that's what DevOps is.
Right. So the main benefit of DevOps for businesses is like the ability to do this like continuous delivery, of course, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a continuous delivery, but also the continuous feedback, right? You want to be able to get things out, but then once you get start with like a minimum viable product out to production and seeing how your customers are using that, and then understanding how do we keep evolving that? If the customer which parts of the customer like, so we can continue delivering more and more value to them. Along the way, it's the cultural changes that need to happen in order to enable you to do that, right? Even having people from the development team working closely with the operations team, working closely with the infrastructure team, working closely with the business, obviously. So now we're able to say, hey, the business had an idea, and in order for us to prove whether the idea works, we're gonna go as quickly as we can, remove the obstacles, streamline the process, get it into production, get it in the hands of our users, and let the user give us the information on whether something truly is needed, and then keep evolving from that. So that's really the big benefit from it.
Great, awesome. So there was a really key understanding in this, that even if, let's say, I'm running my own business, if I don't already have a pain point, still DevOps can help me, because there are like areas that I haven't explored. I can use those to explore it, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that sometimes people say, yeah, I'm releasing every 3 months. We're doing Scrum, or we're doing Kanban, or we're doing test-driven development. So we're doing fine. We don't need DevOps. And the reality is that in the DevOps world, there's something called software development performance, and it's something that allows us to track teams. They also categorize teams as low, medium, high, and elite performers, right? And in order for a team to become a better performer, we track specific metrics, and then we track capabilities that allow us to get to those metrics. So we start thinking about, okay, we are going to enable teams to go faster, to deliver value faster, and in turn create a feedback loop so we can continue delivering faster. We start thinking about, well, your team, how often are they delivering to production? And your team, from the moment code gets checked in or code gets pushed into your GitHub repo, how long does it take for that code to make it to production? Because every single hour, every single day that code just sitting in your repo, it's time that the code is not performing the things that you wanted that code to perform. And even if you're able to get that code out to production early and often, things are going to fail. So how often are you failing? Let's embrace the fact that things are going to break in production, but let's measure that. And if they break in production, how long does it take for us to recover from a break in production? So if you start measuring those, you're going to realize that there's always ways to improve. If you say, well, I'm releasing every 3 months, well, how about we release every 2 months? Or how about we release every month or every 2 weeks? And if you say, well, that's great, I am now releasing every 2 weeks, but the chunks of work that I'm releasing are very small because we have all this very, very complex branching structure. That means that whenever I commit something to my Git repo, it takes 2 months for that code to get out there. Then something's not perfect. So then we start taking a look at different capabilities that allow us to trace to those metrics. So we say, well, we want to improve our ability to release software faster. In order to do that, well, maybe we need to introduce test automation. Maybe we need to introduce infrastructure as code. Or maybe we're releasing things into production and then things break, but we don't know that they break until the customer calls us. So now we say, well, we probably need to understand what's happening with our application. I mean, maybe that now we need to introduce, I don't know, application insights, a New Relic, or a way for us to really understand how our application is working. So every team can have a set of capabilities that they can improve on, that can then help you with this metric. So yeah, I think that any team out there is likely somewhere in that low to medium high. There might be some elites, but everyone can improve. Even elite teams are always improving.
Great, thank you for that. So, based on your discussion, what do you think like the structure of team should look like? If I'm, let's say, running my IT team, I have software development team, and I have teams like that. What should be my DevOps structure should look like? Should I have like a separate team, or it should be people in different teams?
Yeah, so one of the things that we strive for in DevOps world is to remove silos, right? So instead of having a development team here, a QA team there, an operations team here, and then maybe a help desk over there, we say, well, if I build something, how do I get to the point where I'm able to take that all the way to production and own it, right? And it might be that I'm a software developer. I might not have all these skills to be able to do the operational side of it. But what if I either have someone from operations from my team, or as part of the operation move, I'm able to join that team or have a way for us to really work together, right? So it's a tighter bond between all the different functions on the team. Now, one thing that comes up often is whether we should have, hey, we have all these different people, right? But should we have a DevOps team? And the DevOps team is the one that ends up doing a lot of the automation, a lot of the pipelines and infrastructure as code and other things. So what we do is what we typically guide people towards is having a team that might be the DevOps team, but the goal of that team is not to do all the automation, is to enable every team to have that DevOps mindset, right? So don't wait for someone to come in and create the pipeline for you. I'm going to come in and enable your team to be able to create those pipelines. I'm going to enable you to work closely with the operations team to be able to get things into production. So it's really a structure of cross-functional teams that are able to ideally take something all the way from idea all the way to production and keep working together that way.
Great, awesome. Thank you for the details around that. Considering these days that everything is like moving towards cloud digital transformation, how you think DevOps is helping or how they play together in this scenario?
Yeah, I think we're in such a disruptive time right now where everyone's is looking at, well, if I have anything on premises, how do I get it to the cloud? And it's such a great time for us to start rethinking our processes. Before we had a lot of gates because we have all this hardware. We have to make sure that we have this team that their sole goal was to keep the lights on. Well, we have this team that's trying to add more functionality all the time. But with the cloud, in order for you to be able to truly be successful, I think that DevOps needs to be part of the conversation. It is difficult to be able to be successful in the cloud in a world where you can spin things up and tear things out, right? So I'm talking about a world where we don't look at the cloud as just yet another data center, right? It's really, we look at the cloud as this thing that allows us to think beyond the boxes. It allows us to think and say, well, I need something to experiment. Okay, I'm going to create an ARM template or a Terraform script. I'm going to spin a bunch of things up, whether they're VMs or services in platform as service services. And then I'm going to try something and I'm going to tear it down. And then I want my coworker to try it again. Well, I don't want her to go and write a bunch of, or click a bunch of buttons. I'm going to say, here's my script, and they're able to run it again. So now the ability for us to move quickly, move with confidence, and move in a way that allows us to have policies in place, allows us to have repeatability. It makes it so that the cloud and DevOps are meant for each other. They're built for each other, right? You can't be successful in Azure or in the cloud without DevOps, and you can't be successful in DevOps without having a cloud strategy. So they go hand in hand.
Great, thank you for that. In let's say implementing DevOps or adopting DevOps in, let's say, my organization, probably I need some tools like many other like developer technologies and things like that I need a set of tools. What are like these typical type of tools, and are they kind of expensive, or how does it work?
Yeah, so there's many tools out there, and I think that one thing that's important to note and remember is that just because you go and buy a tool that says DevOps doesn't mean that you have DevOps, right? I know a lot of companies out there that have gone and spent thousands of dollars on tools and say, hey, we bought DevOps, we're doing DevOps. So and it's very tempting to do it, right? A lot of people start the conversation with like DevOps is people and process and tools. Forget about the people. Here's a tool, go buy it, right? So what if we say, well, we know that we're going to need the tool. Let's understand the concept. We're here to help people deliver software faster for our customers. So yeah, we want to be able to make more money, be more successful, all those things, right? But it's people working together. If you look at the way that people interact together, there's going to be some sort of process. There's going to be some sort of something that we want to be able to streamline. So if we take a look at what does that look like, and we start removing obstacles. And then once we get there, we start thinking about, okay, how can we leverage tools to be able to enable the people to work together, to enable the processes to be more streamlined. So at that point, that's where the tool comes in, right? So there are many different tools. So Microsoft makes a great one called Azure DevOps. 2 years ago, they bought a great DevOps tool called GitHub. GitHub interacts with all these different tools out there. And then we have many different out there, like GitLab and that Atlassian tool set and many others. So it's not about spending a tons of money. It's really about buying the right tool for your team.
Great, thank you for that. Considering, let's say, as a like business owner, or decision maker, one of the points of decision for people is like, how is like the costs versus what I gain with this with adoption of DevOps? Is it easy to measure?
I think I wouldn't say it's super easy to measure. I think it's every company is going to have a different ROI, right? I think that it is important to measure that. It is important to understand if we're able to deliver software faster. So back to those four metrics I mentioned earlier. If we're able to go from idea to production faster, if I'm able to release more often, if I'm able to recover from failure more often, if I'm able to fail less, what does that look like? How much money am I saving? I have a company, a client of ours, that called us about a year and a half ago. They had 3 weekends in a row. They had failures. They went live, and their system was down for 6, 7, 8 hours. Across all three failures, they had lost $180,000 in sales.
Wow.
That's significant. Like, okay, now we're here to stop that from happening. So right there, you're able to start looking at that. But I think you have to look at also developer productivity. You have to look at developer happiness. You have to look at the waste that you're no longer developing. You might have heard about the fact that most of the time, 80% of the software that we build is never used. So how do we increase the amount of software that we're actually using by delivering faster? So there's a few things that you definitely want to be able to measure, and it's going to be different for every company.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. And do we have like case studies of companies, businesses who didn't use DevOps before, now they adopted DevOps and using it and had a successful story?
Yeah, for sure. So if I'm very close in the Microsoft space, and Microsoft has actually published a few different case studies. If you go to aka.ms/DevOps, that's the launchpad for DevOps at Microsoft, and you can find some case studies there. They do have a case study from the American Cancer Society. They have another case study from Chevron, where in both cases they've been able to leverage the Microsoft tooling, Azure DevOps, to enable hundreds and in some cases thousands of developers to work together and deliver software in a streamlined way. And before that, they were not either using tools, and they were not using any type of. They really weren't living a DevOps culture.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Is there any other questions that you think I haven't covered, or do you think anything else worth to know for a decision maker about DevOps?
Yeah, so sometimes people ask me, how do I get into DevOps? What is your background? So they look at me and say, you came from the software development background. Is that the way to go? Other people say, well, I'm an infrastructure person. So I need to get into how do I get into DevOps? I think that both cases, and many other cases, right? You could be a tester. You could be you could come from the business. It's really about thinking. If you have the mindset, if you have the ability to think about what does the process look like? Where are the different parts that are not very streamlined? And you're able to identify how do you get everyone sort of working together. That is a path for you, right? And you can go from start by creating a continuous integration pipeline. If you have a developer and you're always calling someone, or you're building just from your machine, create a CI/CD pipeline, leverage Azure DevOps, leverage GitHub Actions. If you're an infrastructure person, go and create an ARM template, or start with Terraform. Think about the things that will make your life easier by automating, and then start reaching over to the other people within your team that are helping deliver something to production, and start working together. That's the best way for you to really get started in the DevOps world.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for all your explanation. How our audience can reach out to you if they have any questions? What are the best way to contact you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. The easiest way to reach me is to Twitter at Esteban F. Garcia. I'm always looking in there. Otherwise, reach out to me through my LinkedIn profile, or you can also find me on the RD website, where there's a profile scrolling through there. So yeah, Twitter is probably the most preferred way.
Awesome. We will make sure that these channels are shared at the description below. It is already as part of the recording down here, but in the description below as well, so everyone can reach out to you easily. Thank you very much for your time. Any last words to say?
No, just thank you for having me on the on here. And if anyone has as excited as I am about DevOps, about the cloud, I'd love to hear from you. And hopefully this gives you a little bit more information on DevOps, which is something that I think can help everyone.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. Until next interview. Bye.